What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, NVIDIA, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. Give you guys a very quick overview of what's happening to the market going into next week. What some headlines are saying about Tesla, what you should be watching for as time progresses, as Tesla has a very bullish looking setup, in my personal opinion. But before we get into devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moon link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moon deposit $100, you are guaranteed 7 free stocks, and the offer ends in just 4 days. Anyways, now let's talk about Tesla. Looking at Tesla, we have a very nice looking inverse head and shoulders like structure. We're seeing a lot of buyers trying to defend Tesla at this support right here. There's a very good chance that this will eventually lead to a nice run in Tesla all the way up into the 200s over the next couple of weeks. I also want to note that June is historically a very bullish month for Tesla, so that gives Tesla another edge. But the question is, how will this play out, and what else will affect it? That's why I want to talk about some like other things. So, as a reminder, the Monday is going to be closed on Monday. There's not going to be trading for Memorial Day in itself. It's a national holiday, and in commemorance of that, there will not be any trading here in the U.S. For the U.S. markets. That's important because that gives us a bit of a break. At least, it's been a while since we last had one. And then after that, for Tuesday, May 28th, we have some data coming out. We have some manufacturing numbers which are going to be kind of minor. And then for Wednesday, more minor Fed services and more manufacturing numbers, all very minor. And the Fed Beige Book is coming out. That's going to give us another economic report. Once again, nothing too crazy is coming out for Tuesday and Wednesday. But for Thursday, please note that we have the GDP numbers coming out. Whatever's announced with these numbers will cause somewhat of a move. We have to be very prepared for this just to be safe. For Friday, that's when we have the PCE data report coming out. That's going to be very important as well. It's going to give us a good gauge of what the Fed is thinking, and the Fed does look at that and prioritize that over other indicators. So with that being said, there's going to be heavy data coming out, heavy data, coming out for the end of the week, and most of the data is kind of minor, at least for Tuesday and Wednesday. For more earnings, we just have a few more like Kava and a couple of them for Tuesday, lots of retail. For Wednesday, we have Chewy and Dick's Sporting Goods. Then for Thursday, we have Kohl's, Foot Locker, Dollar General, and we also have Dell and Costco after the market closes. So very minor earnings for Thursday, nothing too crazy in my personal opinion. Moving forward, there's also some talk right over here that there's been a lot of talk about what's happening with Tesla trying to diversify their Asian suppliers. There's been some talk about that, and that's going to be very key for what ends up developing moving forward. But in my personal opinion, I think that we have to be very open-minded with how things are kind of developing and how things are going. And we want to be watching to see what else happens right over here. But I just want to make it very clear that as the years progress, Tesla does not want to make all of their supplies in just like China and Taiwan. There's been a lot of things about disruptions caused by geopolitical uncertainties, and with more tariffs kind of increasing on China, we could see what else ends up developing. So we'll see how things end up going. With things kind of playing out the way they've been, let me make it very clear that we have to be as unbiased as possible, and we want to be watching to see how things play out with this. So I think that moving forward, I'm not going to try to get too political in saying this, but there's a very good chance that, at least for Tesla as a whole, they're going to be starting to outsource to more countries such as Indonesia, possibly even India in the upcoming years. India is actually a little bit more delayed because, Musk is still yet to go there, and we're waiting to see what else is said about that. But we'll see what happens with their supply chains. There are going to be a lot of talks about expansions. I can't wait to see what else they end up doing with these other countries. But that's something that's worth noting over the next couple of years, especially as Indonesia talks have been very common amongst Tesla, with Musk being very optimistic about that, especially because they have lots of big nickel supplies over there. So there are a lot of areas that could be very critical for mining batteries. Anyways, for other reports, Cantor Fitzgerald has given an overweight rating of Tesla. The price price ratio is kind of flat right now as Tesla's performing equally with the markets. There's not really a whole lot else changing. Volume was at about 65 million, it's a very flat volume, but despite that, Tesla's holding up very nicely. So on the 4 hour, we have a nice bullish setup overall, but for the shorter term, that does not mean we're just going to explode instantly. Tesla likes to get kind of bought up in this 172 area. We've been doing that for the past 2 weeks, and we have resistance currently at 180 and also at that 182 area. So I think that there's a very good chance that Tesla will attempt to go a little bit higher and may actually try to push into this imbalance over here at 182. And we'll see if we break through that or not. I think there is some potential to go a bit higher, but then we'll see how it ends up reacting to these key levels. So I'll be watching that very carefully. If we reject off 180, look for 176 as support and then 175, all the way back down to this key support. If we break through this, we're going to be looking for a push. Now, with this channel right over here. We'll have to see which way Tesla breaks. I think there's a very good chance that Tesla will attempt to go higher, but we have to wait and see if we break 180 for confirmation. But the potential is there nonetheless, and we'll have to see how that ends up going. I also want to note that, excuse me, sorry about that, guys, that for Tesla, there is potential to go a little bit higher. We have to try to break this resistance. We have to wait and see what the news tells us going into the later days of this week. But technicals are still overall still bullish for Tesla. I do see it running into the 200s at the least in the month of June, and I see a lot of potential for the share price nonetheless. For SPY has attempted to rebound after hitting its 50 EMA, but there's no sign of SPY kind of rejecting off this level yet, or even getting a very, very big break of all-time highs. So basically, for SPY to be bullish, you want to see it continue to push and break the all-time high. If we break this, we're going to be looking for another move up. If we fail to do so, we're going to be looking at this imbalance up here. If we push up to here, then there could be a little rejection here and a move back down. So I'll be watching that very, very carefully. Do we push a little bit higher to the 531s and reject, or do we break the all-time high and continue to push? I would say, excuse me, I would say that SPY will likely push a little bit higher. We'll have to watch and see what the move is from here. But overall, here's the bigger picture. We're still bullish. The charts still look bullish. The charts still favor the upside. If we were to let's just say hypothetically we do get a little rejection, a small little pullback. Let's say we kind of pop and drop a bit. If we were to come all the way down to 523, let's just say something happens and we get a little rejection, not the end of the world. We're gonna still bounce, in my opinion, and continue to go higher, especially for the month of June and the summertime, at least temporarily. So regardless of what happens, if we get a little pop here, reject back down to 523, then get a whatever happens there, we're gonna continue to go higher nonetheless. If we break the all-time high, then yes, we'll go higher. So overall, the chart is still bullish regardless of where we go. Short term, could we pop and then drop? Yes, but overall, the chart remains bullish in my personal opinion. For NVIDIA, it's the same thing. We're still breaking all-time highs again. I think that this chart's easily going to go up to the 1100s very, very soon. So I'd still anticipate more upside for NVIDIA. For Bitcoin, we're looking a little bit more bullish. Look for a backtest of 68,500 and a bounce. If we get that bounce, we'll be looking at 69,900, very, very close to 70,000 essentially, which is where our imbalance happens to be. So 70,000 should be coming. For the QQQ has support currently at this 457 area and also at 455. We have resistance at 460 and 461. I wouldn't be surprised if the QQQ comes down just a bit, might retest our 20 EMA in this 456 zone, then try to get a bounce. If we do bounce off this, look for a bigger push back up to 460. If we lose 455, then I'll be looking for a little dip back down to these lows. Even if the QQQ dips just a little bit temporarily, that does not mean it's going to crash. It could just get a temporary little dip, try to grab liquidity again before the buyers step in and start pushing us to new all-time highs again. That's what the trend is telling us. So do I think we could dip a bit? Yes, we could. The QQQ is kind of showing signs of that. But despite that, I still think that the QQQ is going to continue to uptrend, and we're going to see buyers defend and continue to push the market higher up ultimately. For Apple's the same thing essentially. We're kind of struggling at this 190 resistance. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually retest, grab liquidity in the 188 zone, and then we could get a big bounce and continue higher and try to break out once again to these highs to 192. So I'll be watching for that very, very carefully. That's what I'm seeing for the main charts, guys. I might kind of cut this video a little short because it is the weekend that's coming up. One last thing for the VIX, I just want to say we're actually holding up relatively well for now, but we're approaching this key support in the 12 area. We're at the lowest we've seen this thing in years. So, the VIX loves to bounce historically off the 12 area. Could we see a little small bounce in the VIX? It's still possible over the next week, which means the market could get a little pullback, but it's not going to likely last forever. It could just be very, very minor, and the market could still get bought back up as soon as we hit those levels. So I'll talk more about the VIX a little bit later on, and we'll see how things go. But with that being said, I just want to say I really appreciate every single one of you. Please have a great day, guys, and I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you, and peace out.